Bonjour, my name is Dossé-Via Trenou, and I graduated from the University of Southern California in May, where I double majored in French and Narrative Studies. When I decided to come to USC for college, I chose to study French as a major because I was interested in teaching it, and I really didn't want to lose touch with the culture and the literacy. And also, when I was in high school, a junior in high school, I was able to take part in a program that allowed me to spend a semester in Saint-Brieuc, France, and that's in the northwest of France, and I had never been there before. I had only been to Paris. So going there and being able to kind of step out of my comfort zone and get to know France on a broader level helped me fall in love with French even more, and I realized it was an amazing culture and language. So. First, I knew that being bilingual would definitely be an asset for me, but it wasn't until I started really studying French a little more and going to study in France in college too that I really realized exactly how much. I was able to be a French and English tutor while in France and in America too. I'm able to use my bilingual talents to teach English and to teach French. I was also able to write and work for a subtitle company. Well, it was really a French film production company in Paris called Lobster Films, and I was able to write their subtitles. And many opportunities come to me now, even on a freelance level, where people ask me to translate or people ask me to explain something to them. And so it was really beneficial. And so right now my focus is definitely teaching. I really enjoy tutoring French and helping people understand it and helping people speak it and just have somebody to have it in conversation with. The most easy part of learning French would probably be picking up, I guess, on the accent because I was surrounded by it, which is why I recommend for anyone who wants to learn French and that might be a struggle for them, I recommend studying in France or to a French-speaking country. I think if you surround yourself with French speakers, then you are able to naturally understand French better. I'm really into poetry and songwriting, and I grew up listening to like Francis Cabrel, Aznavour, so I listened to really sentimental French artists, and there's something about the French language that allows you to express yourself. That's why it's part of a romance language category. It allows you to express yourself in such a beautiful way that I think the English language can't always capture. So I feel like it's helped me become an even better artist because I am bilingual. I went back to study in Saint-Brieuc, and what I really enjoyed there is that I was with a host family. I had a 16-year-old sister called Enoha, and she was my age, and we got along immediately, and I was able to discover a part of France that wasn't at all like Paris. It was smaller, more community-based, but that helped me feel at home, and being with the host family also immediately helped me communicate with them and kind of improve my French considerably because at that time I still had a little bit of an English accent when I spoke French, a little bit. And then when I came back, because I had talked to them so much, my French accent had completely returned. So studying abroad was really about flying out of my comfort zone, and I was really happy that I did so because I came back feeling much more like mature and much more prepared to handle any kind of like potential challenge like job applications or college interviews. Like I really think that because I was able to study abroad or express interest in international cultures, it really helped my application process. And then when I came to USC, I chose to study abroad in Paris to further my education there and since my major was in French, I thought it makes sense to study it in France rather than just in LA with French professors. Because I had already experienced study abroad, I decided to live in a studio. I still had a host family, but it was more independent based. I saw them only a few times a month. Other than that, I lived in a chambre de bonne, which is a really, really tiny maid's quarters. It's an historic maid's quarters. So um, earlier, many, many, many decades ago, maids would have to go up spiral stairs with all of their supplies, and they'd live in this tiny room and under the rooftops. And now many Parisian students live there. And it was actually great because it was in the 6e arrondissement, which is a district in Paris, and that's the center of the city, and so much really cool food around, so many places to go. The Jardin de Luxembourg was right there, so it was very culturally beneficial place to live. And I went to school at La Sorbonne Nouvelle, which is the same university my mom went to when she was in college, and I studied cinema and French there. So the classes were very different than American classes. The professors were less like friendly with you and much more serious about everything. They spoke from a pedestal and lectured most of the class. So it was really more about your coming to class to get your work done, and your social life is outside of that. But what I did like about it is that you have a lot of independence and you don't have a huge workload every single night. It's more like you'll have 4 exams in a semester or 3 exams, and that's mostly it. It's not lots of like pop quizzes or lots of essays to turn in. So as long as you're responsible, then you will feel that the workload is different than an American university. And the grading system is different too. So it was a great experience. I definitely think it made me take school much more seriously, being able to see how other students in the world take school. And also because France education is so much less expensive, it was an incredible benefit to be able to um, go there and spend less on my junior year than I would have spent if I was at USC. The biggest difference I noticed is how people seem to have a clear idea of what career path they wanted to take, whereas in America, in many universities, undecided is the most popular major. In France, because students have had to think about this since high school, most of the time people know whether they're going to do something in literature, something in math, something in econ. So the school system is very much specific based on whatever concentration you really like. So in my case, I was into literature and cinema. That's more like the equivalent of the humanities. So kind of like how in America there would be different colleges within the university. In Paris, where I studied, it was more like the universities were distinguished based on concentration. So when I went to Paris 3, a lot of the emphasis was on humanities, and I was surrounded by equally passionate people when it comes to letters. And the professors were much more about lecturing in terms of a long, extended period of time without breaks to talk as a group. It wasn't as much of a social atmosphere as some of my humanities classes. It depended. It wasn't always the case, but that was like the overall theme. And I definitely say the pace was more individualistic, where you know what you have to do and you get it done, and you come to class to do that, and then you live your life kind of off campus because there's not as much of a campus atmosphere where I went to school. The good thing is there's plenty of other universities in France and not just in Paris. And so if you want the campus feel, you can go to Lille, which is a really, really popular college town. You can go down south to Grenoble and you can find those campuses. Just like in America, you just have to do your college search to find the one that fits you the best. Paris was my living laboratory, basically. Yeah, there were endless museums to go to. Most of them were free because um, over there they say that either it was free or either really discounted because they really want to encourage um, people to go and experience French culture. And sometimes we would have excursions with my study abroad program, which would allow me to see different parts of France. The catacomb, which is this really cool underground place, and really mystical and kind of eerie. So it's all about how much you make out of your opportunity outside of the classroom. And that's one thing that Paris is known for. It's food, it's fashion, it's culture, it's history. So it's all over. Even just walking around, walking in the metro, you're around and experiencing the history of Paris. So, and France in general, that's what's so great. It's an older country than America, so you're naturally going to have resources that don't exist in America. So, I'm really into modeling, and I was able to work for Paris Fashion Week as a result of being there through connections. And that kind of propelled my career in many ways. When I came back, I had the confidence to kind of keep going in LA, and even now I'm looking on international platforms. And so it's definitely been a muse for me creatively to know that Paris is so full of life and culture and so many artists. And that I was able to spend a few years of my life there being an artist, and then I think it was Ernest Hemingway who said that Paris is a movable feast. So that's how I feel. I really feel like I go, everywhere I go, Paris comes with me.
Right.
So it's the ultimate inspiration, and I'm very grateful. If you're an American student who's really interested in going to France, I would say first dedicate yourself to continuing to study the language. If you don't have any experience, it's okay. There are many summer programs that you can do to catch up. But if you're in high school, the benefit is as far as you go in French, the better off you are, because even if you decide to go to France through an American university, you can get credit if you do really good on like AP exams, for example, AP French. And then if you want to go straight off from high school, then the advice I give is to be as organized as you are with your regular American college application process. Talk to your counselor about it. Know that the French system is very detail-oriented and administrative, so all the paperwork that you need, all the deadlines that you need to meet, you want to really have it all down on paper. And then start kind of looking at the different universities as you would in America. And try to understand what programs they offer. The good thing is that most of them are equivalent. Whatever you decide to study in France can transfer most of the time, and vice versa. But the biggest thing is knowing which university will you feel most comfortable with. But the biggest thing is not to worry too much about being homesick, or not to worry too much about not having a typical experience, because the experience you have in Paris will surpass not only Paris, but the experience you have studying in France has the ability to surpass many experiences in America, especially from a financial perspective. One of the biggest advantages is that it's practically free to go to school in France, even if you're an American citizen and not a citizen in France. So when you kind of weigh the costs, the cons and the pros of going to a school in America, where sometimes it can cost as much as $60,000 per year, or going to a school in France, which often costs less than 2,000 euros per year, there's really a lot to think about. So the time you spend in France flies by, and then it's something you remember for the rest of your life. So just be disciplined, be organized, and be positive about your experience.